I'm going to get started here just to tell you a little bit about the idea for this particular tour. And last week I had the idea. I said, what could we do for the convention that we could do virtually that we couldn't do if we were at the convention? I said, well, how about if we do a factory tour of Japan? We can get some videos, and Japan was loved the idea. They had videos in my inbox the next day, and I asked for more, and they sent me what I asked for and then some. So I was able to put together this this montage of the Altus factory. And what I wanted to do also is not just show the factory, but also give you a sense of what Azumino is like. I mean, where the Altus is situated is such a beautiful area. So what I wanted to do is share some of that with you. So without further ado, I'm going to begin this PowerPoint presentation for you. So let me just switch gears here a little bit and get to this part. Let's see. And this here. There we go. Okay, I hope everyone could see that. And okay, so I got a picture here. This is just to give you an example of some of our flutes, and people have always asked us about the, particularly the Japanese, about the kanji symbol, this symbol here, which to the Japanese doesn't really mean much of anything and often confuses them. But the reason that we use it is because it so much resembles the Altus factory. So we use it just to make the association with the building. So with that, let's go a little bit into, I'm going to take it to Japan right now. So here's a map of Japan, and if you can see in the circle here is Nagano. Nagano is a prefecture in Japan. It's where Altus is located. Most of the flute making tradition in Japan is centered around Tokyo. Tokyo's area is the equivalent to our Boston here in the US. Altus is a little bit different. They're a little bit farther north here in the central part of Japan. And I just want to share with you a little bit more about specifically where it is. Again, here's Tokyo, and here's where the Altus factory is by this little marker. We're going to zoom in on that. You can see it's surrounded by the mountains over here. It's a beautiful setting. So I'm going to show you some views of the particular area. One of the things that's noticed for is the shrine. The Hitaki Shrine is there, a very popular destination for the Japanese. The beautiful landscape in this area, beautiful farmland. You can see up here in the upper right-hand corner, the largest wasabi farm in Japan is located in Azumino. So if you like the hot stuff like I do, this really speaks close to my heart. Again, more of the Japanese culture represented all around, obviously, in Japan. And of course, you know, again, the farmland with the beautiful view of the mountains. These are also known as the Japanese Alps to a lot of people. And nestled amongst all this natural beauty is the Altus factory. So, I mean, it's such a great place to, if you're a flute maker, such a great environment to be able to produce beautiful flutes. So with that, I'm going to begin our little tour of the factory. So when you start, we're going to start right at the road. When you come to the road, this is what you see. This is where it turns in from the road, and there's this large circular driveway. So we're going to just take a little tour into this driveway over here. You can see off to the right, there's this beautiful field over here, which I believe at one time was the Altus garden. They had some gardening in there as well. There's some old photos with that. This is the entrance. You can see there's this beautiful glass staircase that you make as you make your entrance into the Altus factory. And you know, you're greeted by something that is completely thoroughly Japanese, you know, the Japanese sand garden, which is just represents that peaceful, and you can see this beautiful calm serenity in here. These are the offices, obviously. Then we go upstairs. As we go upstairs, we get to go up this beautiful glass overlook area. And the weather was a little bit cloudy this way and a little bit of too much sun. But when you get to the top of the stairs, you can just take the time to take in some of that beautiful scenery that I just showed you. And you're going to turn around, a little chandelier there as well, just to get a sense of what it's like to go to work at the Altus factory. We turn around to this little conference area, and you can see the shop in the back, a couple of the rooms. And in this area, you can see lining the walls are some of our artists, flute players, etc., who have all sent personal notes, messages to the factory, thanking them for the great flutes that they play, and gives them the great joy from the factory workers having made them. And of course, how much more can we say about Altus without mentioning Tanaka-san and William Bennett, Wib as we know him. And you can see that takes pride of place right there on the wall. And I can't speak enough about how what a great moment this was with these two men coming together, and how they revolutionized the flute making industry. To think of all the years prior to this great collaboration, when flutists suffered with scale from lower pitched flutes with shortened head joints, and having the courage to be able to do this and produce the finest scale in the world today, not just correct mathematically, but with Wib's help, performance oriented, which is so vital to the flute playing community. So we have these two great men to thank for that. And with that, we're going to continue a little bit on into the factory a little bit more. We're going to talk about key making. The key making is done in a very traditional fashion. So we're going to go right to the key making bench over here. And you can see a craftsman. This is a G-sharp key, and he's got some solder. You can't see a little bit of solder possibly coming out of there. There's a little holder. So he's mounting the key work. This is the key assembly part. Heating it up. This is very traditional fashion done. Again, making sure the solder is flowing, and then before quenching. All the key work is made in the traditional fashion this way. This is just one key. So imagine all of the keys on the flutes being made by hand this way. The true hand making of a flute. We're going to move on next from key making. Once the keys are made, we have to go to the key fitting department. All the refinements to the keys are done in this particular area. You saw this room when you first came to the top of the stairs. And you can see the workers here. Again, lots of natural light coming in as well. There's supplementary light if they need. You can see some filing going on here, refining key work as well, checking fit. Everyone busy at work. And I've noticed I haven't been to our Altus factory, but having been visit to flute factories in Japan, most of the workers are around this age. They're very talented, very craft oriented, and they really enjoy their work. They're very proud of their work. I'm going to move on next to the next slide, which deals with padding. Padding is done in the traditional sense as well. Again, they use feeler gauges to check the parts of the pad. You can see the flute bodies are covered with the protective tape, which most people are accustomed to seeing now, the tops of the key cups. And then once you saw the marker that was used there, marker section of the pad that the technician here has decided needs a shim. So as typical as myself as a repair tech, this is very common for us. This is what we spend most of our day, our lives, doing this type of work in the US, cutting little tiny pieces of shim to make for perfect seals of the pads, so that you have the best performance that you can get out of the flute. So he's gonna put a little glue on this particular shim. He's gonna mark it where he had the mark. He's gonna place it in place. And as all repair techs know, gluing your partial shims in is very important for the next person who comes along. So if there's any techs out there who are listening, you understand what I'm talking about. Pad goes back in place as usual, and will become screwed on, and then we'll go back for the repeat of checking the instrument. Once that's all done, you have the assembly goes on with the flute, and then there's also checking for regulation. So there's inspection and regulation. Now we have some assembly here, checking the felts. Again, this is a quick inspection at that point to make sure that everything is working correctly. From that point, the flute will pretty much continue on its journey. I'm going to shift gears a little bit to show you a little bit of the head joint cutting. Head joint cutting is all done by hand. You can see as I progress the next slide, we're going to start with undercutting, and you'll see a head joint being cut on both sides. And we'll get that started here. You know, undercutting takes place on the sides. This is the undercutting on the tube side of the instrument. This is happening on the opposite side with a traditional scraper. This process is overcutting. Now, overcutting is not as extreme to a flute. It helps reduce turbulence. It helps with free blowing. Usually it's done very modestly. It's hard to tell what this head joint's going to become at some point. My guess, since I can't really see the lid plate, is this maybe a Z cut. I'm not sure. But again, the craftsman here will decide what that is. He knows what ultimately he's going for. Once head joints are all done and everything is assembled, there's always final plate testing, checking all the materials to make sure that they're working. You can also see this machine here as well. This is the MagnaHelix, which is also a pressure test machine for checking pads. So while things are done the traditional way, all the most modern techniques are used for checking all the Altus flutes for their optimum playability. You can see a bunch of flutes assembled here, waiting for more of the same treatment as well. And we're going to move on next to talk about, once the flutes are assembled, what happens with them? Well, I just want to share just a little bit of some of our more famous artists. Obviously we talked about Wib. Wib was so crucial to the development of the Altus flute with Tanaka-san. One has to wonder what Altus flutes would be like without that partnership. And we are very thankful as a flute community that they did get together and produced the wonderful Altus flutes that we still enjoy today. Of course, Dennis. Everyone, I'm sure, is familiar with Dennis. Lorna as well. I wanted to include Jamie in here as well, and also to represent our low flutes. I wanted to put Paige in here for that purpose. But there's a whole family of artist flutes. Chris is here because I could see him, one of our distinguished Altus artists. So I wanted to call him out as well. But Altus is truly a family of some great players. I wish I could post all of them on here, but I've been getting to know each of them little by little. I haven't met all of them yet. Hopefully, as time progresses with Altus, I'll get to know them. I hope you get to experience as many of them as possible as well. Example of our flutes and music. The targets actually that you're going for. So to conclude our presentation, I'll let you enjoy this a little. And that pretty much concludes our presentation. I'm really thankful that you're able to join us. This has been recorded, so it should appear on our exhibitors page. Again, I'm not going to take any questions right here, but if you need to contact me, you can contact me through the app, through the messages. And I really want to thank you all for coming. This was a very enjoyable opportunity for me and for Altus to share this with USA and the NFA convention, particularly because it's not the type of factory you get to go visit often. You know, here in the US, people can go to Boston and experience the Boston School of Flute Making. Here you get a chance to see what the Japanese style of flute making is. It's quite a wonderful experience. It's a very soothing, it's very refreshing. It's a very soul refreshing experience to watch these craftsmen at work. So I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And at this point, I'm going to close this particular session. And again, thank you all very much for coming. Please visit our dealers here. They're exhibiting, so please show them support and love as well. And until next time, hopefully we'll see you in person at the next NFA convention. So thank you very much. I'm going to wave goodbye to everyone.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.